Um, I'm sorry for the slightly delayed intro, but here we are, Reddit CDH tournament again. Round 4, pod 11 this time. Now let's see who's playing. We've got Two-Hand Touch on General Tazri, we've got Dr. Laz on Sidisi Undead Vizier, Jim Wolfie on his infamous Yidris Melt Banana combo list, and we've got Leviathan on Zer the Enchanter. This is definitely looking quite interesting, and lots of well-known people in this pod. Definitely an interesting, let's say, matchup of different types of decks, different types of players. Let's see how it goes. Alright, looks like we've got Two-Hand Touch on Tazri going first here, thanks to rolling 11. People are currently resolving their mulligans. Looks like Leviathan took a mulligan down to 6. Dr. Laz is keeping a hand of 5, which is a bit troublesome. And Jim also seems to have gone down to 6, so the only deck with 7 cards in its hand seems to be Tazri. This is definitely going to be interesting. Looks like everyone is ready to go now, with the exception of Dr. Laz. Nope, he is also ready to go, and that means we are off to the races. Good luck and have fun to everyone in the game. Alright, we've got Two-Hand Touch in his first turn here, going to his main phase after drawing a card as is usual. He plays a Marsh Flats for the turn. Now, on a quick side note, Food Chain Tazri seems to be the deck that has been winning the most lately. Or at least in this tournament. We have a couple of players on the deck, and they're all sporting very solid records. We also see Two-Hand Touch going for a Bayou off the Marsh Flats here, casting a Sylvan Tutor on his first turn. Gonna be interesting to see what he gets here. Alright, he passes the turn to Dr. Laz, who plays a Peat Bog for turn. A very good mono black land in decks that have a tendency to just try to race to the victory. CDC is definitely one of those decks, and another deck where this card sees play is Doomsday Grenzo, at least in its latest revision. Now, Laz passes the turn to Leviathan, who opens up with a command tower. and a Mox Opal. Ah, the good old naked turn 1 Mox Opal with no other artifacts on the field. It's always a bit sad, isn't it? Now let's see what Jim has in store for us here. Hands seem to have been rather slow all in all. Oh, by the way, I haven't mentioned it earlier. 2 got a Bloom Tender off his Sylvan Tutor, so that's what he's going to be drawing next turn. Jim going aggressive with a Thoughtseize on Leviathan here, considering that he seems to be on some kind of control slash stacks build. That is probably a very reasonable target to hit. Um, yeah, not really much going on here. Two-hand touch has gone into the tank. Uh, he is indeed correct about Leviathan not being able to play Mana Drain. However, Jim does have access to blue mana in theory. So, I don't know. I think he still runs at least Mana Drain in his deck. So there is a chance of Jim being able to counter something two-hand touch does. Looks like two-hand touch is really agonizing over what to do here. He's asking for 30 more seconds, and who would we be to deny him? I have a feeling the choice kinda is between uh, trying to go for a potential win right now, or saving mana to attempt to stop somebody, for example Dr. Laz, from going off next turn. If for some reason he got stopped from going for his combo. Because if, uh, say, Jim were holding a mana drain here and two just went for it, he probably wouldn't be able to protect it properly, and if he wouldn't be able to pull off his combo, he would also not have the resource to stop Dr. Laz next turn, which in turn would lose the game. Or win the game for Dr. Laz. I think this is one of the longer turn 3s we've seen in this whole tournament. Definitely a lot of politicking going on here, and it seems like the choice for 2 seems to be between significantly advancing his board state and being able to stop Dr. Laz. I'm very sorry that not much is going on right now. I hope we'll have this resolved to further advance his accessibility to his access to mana. He pitches a Hagra Diabolist, which is interesting considering that that's one of the ways to close out the game once you've got your infinite food chain mana. And there's a Leovold. That is very interesting. Leovold is a strong piece of hate. It will also allow him to tap his Bloom Tender for 3 mana. However, it doesn't stop Ad Nauseam, and it doesn't stop Necropotence, and that might be a bit of an issue. Yes, that's pretty accurate. We've been going for 22 minutes now. And there's a Cyclonic Rift on the Ledmer. Well, that is probably a smart play, but also really sad. Alright, we're on Dr. Laz's turn now. He taps 2 mana. Will he attempt to replay the Ledmer? Yes, he does. Potentially trying to set up for a win next turn. and he passes to Leviathan. Let's see where this goes. As far as I'm aware, there is no time limit on turns. Is it a draw if he does nothing? No, it's not going to be a draw. He is going to do something in due time, so please do not get impatient. You're only making yourself look bad. Alright, looks like 2 is going for Tazri. That's interesting. Where's the white? Jim asks. Yeah. Exotic Orchard can indeed tap for white since there's a command tower on the field from a person playing a commander whose colors include white. Tazri on the stack. Priority going around. At least that's what it is supposed to do. Leviathan is thinking. And he lets it resolve. Okay, so there's a General Tazri on the field now. Two-Hand Touch goes through his library to search for an ally creature card, potentially getting one of his win conditions after food chain, I'd imagine. And he passes the turn. There's a Harabaz Druid. Oh, he is not getting a win condition, actually. He's getting a Mana Dog. That's a very interesting choice. Alright, Dr. Laz taps his mana, goes for a Grim Tutor, costing him 3 mana. And Leviathan promptly mana drains it. Interesting choice. I'm not sure I agree unless he is holding another counter spell, but sure. Why not? Oh, I've just been informed that Harabaz Druid can indeed combo with Freed from the Real, so that's potentially interesting. I'm not sure if Two-Hand Touch is running that combo, but if he is, I suppose we'll find out soon. Alright, we see Leviathan here going for a bunch of mana in Esper color combinations, maybe to cast his commander, I suppose. He's kind of fiddling around with mana for some reason. Looks like he does not want to do that and takes it back. He plays an underground river from his hand. Okay. And a Sickening Dreams. Discarding one card to kill Bloom Tender and Ledinmere. Okay. That's definitely a play. I think I would have liked this more if 2 had played his Druid this turn, considering that one's also a 0-1, but I don't know. This is... It seems a bit mediocre, to be honest. But maybe that's just my impression. I haven't really seen this deck play, so I'm not 100% sure what he can do, but right now it seems kinda presumptuous to do that if the next thing he does will be to attempt to resolve Zer the Enchanter. And that is exactly what he's trying to do. There's a mana drain from Jim promptly answering that. Yeah. I had assumed Jim was indeed holding a mana drain for quite a while, and turns out that ended up being true. Jim, in the meantime, tutors up a Blood Crypt with his Polluted Delta. We know he's got an Ad Nauseam in hand. He gains 4 colorless mana here, so if he so desires, he could go for a main phase Ad Naus here. Shields seem to be kinda down unless 2-hand is holding a counterspell. So maybe it's worth it. Yep. That looks like 5 mana. Yes, there he is. He's putting the Ad Nauseam on the stack. 2-hand passes priority. Oh, this is gonna be good. Let's see if Leviathan is holding a 3 or 1 mana counterspell here. He also does not response. I can assume there will be no response from Dr. Lass here. So let's do it. Ad Nauseam time. That's a Ogwell. Dramatic reversal. Chrome Mox, that's a decent start. Arid Mesa. Mox Opal. Aetherflux Reservoir. Oh, right! Leviathan had no cards in his hand. Jesus, what in the hell am I talking about? I'm sorry, that's just not a card I ever see. Getting back to the Ad Naus here. Breeding Pool, Mass Hysteria, Windfall, Brainstorm, Grim Tutor. Oh, this is looking quite good. Watery Grave. Mystical Tutor. Sol Ring. Okay, fast mana potentially getting there. Here's a Demir Signet. Ponder. Wheel of Fortune. Mystic Remora. Elves of Deep Shadow. Does he keep going? I'm not 100% sure if he can win here. He can definitely try, and if he gets a bit lucky with one of his wheels, there may be a very good chance he does. Yeah, that's kind of true. And oh, there's the Dark Ritual. Okay, things just got a lot more possible. Yeah, I think he can take the win here. It's maybe not entirely deterministic, but It's looking decent at least. Alright, 23 cards in hand. I hope we're about to witness somebody storming to victory here, because that is always a pleasure to watch, in my opinion at least. Right, he starts off with a Mox Opal, carefully counting both Storm and his floating mana, as every good Storm player should. Jim does seem to be taking a bit of time before making any, let's say, real moves here, but honestly, that's perfectly fine. Alright, Chrome Mox, Sol Ring. It's interesting that he wouldn't use the colorless mana he's got floating to cast the Sol Ring, but let's see where he takes it. Also, to keep in mind, there's a Leovold on the field, which means that he will not be able to draw more cards until he gets rid of it. Oh, so he's going for the Mass Hysteria here. Interesting line of play. Definitely not something we've really seen any other Storm decks do. Yidris is quite unique in that regard, that it plays cards like Mass Hysteria coupled with a few mana dorks, which gives him a touch of additional consistency on his combo turns. Mana access seems to be quite good for Jim right now, though. So if he can comfortably land a an Aetherflux Reservoir and keep going, he should have this one in the bag. And here's the Aetherflux Reservoir, upping his Storm count to 10, so he will be able to gain a bunch of life soon. He also still has a Yogwill in hand, and a Dark Ritual, yes, which means that he can replay a bunch of stuff, and if he gets to a high amount of life and mana, he can also recast Ad Nauseam if he so desires, which will circumvent the draw condition on Leovold. So there's definitely a lot of things he can do here. I mean, if he really wants to, he could even just cast Yidris, swing at, say, Leviathan, and then continue comboing on his second main phase. That might be a bit of a funny thing to do here. Alright, here's the Dark Ritual, gaining him 11 life. And a Grim Tutor, gaining him 12 life, taking 3, and tutoring for another card. Alright, Jim finds the card he was looking for and is now free to continue going off. I mean, there's just a lot he can do at this point. Like, he could do a Yogwill right now, crack Lion's Eye Diamond while holding priority to gain access to a lot of cards. He can also do the classic Yogwill, LED, and then LED again, and then continue doing whatever he's doing, but there is just so much mana and so many spells he's got right now, I really don't see him fizzling here. So I'm just gonna stay quiet for a bit and let you all enjoy the show. And here's the second ad nauseum from A Lot of Life. As expected, he's gonna get a full refuel. He'll be good to go. I'm fairly sure nobody's gonna be able to stop him at this point. Two-hand touch did indeed GG already. Yep, he did indeed concede. Leviathan also conceded the game. I suppose there will be... Yes, and here's the concession from Dr. Laz. This means that Jim Wolfe officially won this week's game. Congratulations to him, and I will be back next week, hopefully with a co-caster again. I hope you enjoyed watching, and I'll see you all soon.